Victor Lustig, January 4, 1890 to March 11, 1947, was a notorious con artist from Austria-Hungary, remembered as one of the most infamous criminals of the early 20th century. He became legendary for selling the Eiffel Tower twice and for running the famous Romanian box money printing scam. Lustig was born in Hustin, then known by its German name, Arno, in the Kingdom of Bohemia. He was the second of 3 children born to Ludwig and Amelia Fanny Lustig. Raised in a German-speaking, middle-class Catholic family, he lived in a 4-room house near the town's central market. His father, a tobacco salesman and at one time the mayor of Hustin, was physically abusive toward Lustig and the rest of the family. By the age of 8, Lustig was forced to sign an oath promising to avoid alcohol and attend church regularly. He disliked violin lessons so intensely that after an argument, his father struck him over the head with the instrument. His parents divorced around 1898, though they continued living together at least until 1900. As a boy, Lustig often traveled around Europe with his father on business trips to Prague and Zurich. When he first saw Paris at age 7, he described the city center as exquisite, but found the outskirts a sad, soiled place drowning in immorality. His school years were turbulent. On his first day of infant school, he was expelled for telling a teacher Lake Michigan Marsh, "Kiss my ass." He was then moved to a small one-room school in Cermna. Classmates remembered him as bold and charismatic, known for his impressions of military leaders. However, a school report from 1902 labeled him morally retarded, an idiot in other respects. Despite health issues like migraines and breathing problems, he maintained perfect attendance and took up boxing at 13. In 1904, after briefly running away from home, Lustig was sent to a boarding school in Dresden. There he learned English, French, Italian, and Hungarian, and studied design. Although his granddaughter later claimed he remained in school until his early 20s, most sources state he dropped out before turning 17. After receiving a poor grade on his design work, Lustig returned to Hustin in 1906. He later sent postcards to a childhood friend from Vienna, ending with a note saying he planned to study law at Charles University. By 1909, while spending a semester at the Sorbonne in Paris, Lustig developed a gambling habit. Around this time, a jealous lover's partner attacked him, leaving the distinctive scar on his left cheek. After leaving school, he relied on his quick thinking, sharp observational skills, and fluency in several languages to launch a criminal career centered on scams and fraud. Many of his early schemes took place on ocean liners traveling between France and New York. Disguised as a Broadway producer, he persuaded wealthy passengers to invest in fake theater productions. When transatlantic voyages were halted during World War I, he shifted his activities to the United States. In 1922, using the alias Robert Duval, Lustig visited a bank in Springfield, Missouri. He bought land, overpaid with Liberty bonds, collected $10,000 in change, and walked away with both the cash and the bonds. He was eventually arrested in New York and extradited, but his notoriety among law enforcement was already growing. His most audacious scam came in 1925. While in Paris, he read a newspaper article about the rising maintenance costs of the Eiffel Tower. Inspired, he hired a forger to create official-looking government stationery and invited a select group of scrap metal dealers to a secret meeting at a luxury hotel. Introducing himself as a high-ranking official from the Ministry of Posts and Telegraphs, he claimed the French government was planning to sell the Eiffel Tower for scrap due to its upkeep costs but needed to keep the decision confidential.
Another of his famous schemes was the money box or Romanian box. The device, a polished mahogany trunk with slots and levers, supposedly duplicated any banknote placed inside, though it required 6 hours to print the copy. Lustig secretly preloaded the box with genuine bills to convince buyers it worked. He sold the machine for exorbitant amounts, including one sale to a Texas sheriff.
When the sheriff realized he'd been duped and confronted him in Chicago, Lustig pretended the sheriff had used the machine incorrectly and gave him counterfeit cash as compensation. His involvement with counterfeiting would later contribute to his downfall. In 1929, Lustig and William McSherry were arrested in Paris with multiple forged documents and another money box. Lustig pretended to be an associate of Al Capone, though Chicago police had never heard of him. During the Great Depression, Lustig even attempted a small con on Capone himself. He asked Capone to invest $50,000 in a fake scheme, kept the money untouched for 2 months, then returned it, claiming the deal fell through. Impressed by his apparent honesty, Capone gave him $5,000, or $1,000, according to some accounts, to help him recover financially, exactly what Lustig intended. In 1930, Lustig partnered with William Watts and Tom Shaw to run a large-scale counterfeiting operation. Shaw and Watts produced the forged bills while Lustig organized a courier network to circulate them. For 5 years, thousands of counterfeit notes, nicknamed Lustig money, entered the U.S. economy until federal agents eventually took notice. Lustig's downfall came when his mistress, Billie Mae, discovered he was seeing a younger woman and informed federal authorities. Arrested on May 10, 1935, he initially feigned ignorance about the counterfeiting ring. But when agents traced a key he refused to explain, it led them to a Times Square subway locker containing $51,000 in counterfeit bills and the printing plates. The day before his trial, he escaped from the Federal House of Detention in New York by faking illness and climbing down the building with a rope, but he was captured 27 days later in Pittsburgh. Lustig pleaded guilty and received 15 years in Alcatraz for counterfeiting and an additional 5 years for escaping custody. On March 9, 1947, Lustig contracted pneumonia and died 2 days later at the Medical Center for Federal Prisoners in Springfield, Missouri. His death certificate listed his occupation simply as apprentice salesman and counterfeiter.